Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Kesubos Daf Mem Aleph. We are holding 8 lines from the top of the Amud Tan Rabbanon. We learned in a Brisa. We're back to the Moitzi Shemra, this husband who purports that his wife entered the marriage Einan Basula, which suggests that she was involved in inappropriate behavior during the engagement period, during the Erusin, which at the time of Chazal was like a semi-married state. It was after Kiddushin. So he claims that she was involved in this type of behavior and he wants nothing to do with her. It turns out the whole thing was just a made-up story and he faces the consequences. What are his consequences? Tan Rabbanan v'anshu oisei. It says v'anshu oisei meya kesef. Zemamin. Says the Gemara, that's the monetary aspect of his consequence. You have to pay a fine. The pasuk says v'yisru oisei. What does that mean? Zem malchus. We give him malchus. So it's a two-pronged punishment, monetarily and bodily. Asks the Gemara, b'shleima v'anshu zemamin. I understand that v'anshu refers to a monetary penalty. As the pasuk says, pretty straightforward. Right? Which he gives to the father of the Nara. But v'yisru, you say it means malchus. Ze malchus. Minalan, how do you know? V'yisru means through malchus. We punish him through malchus. We use a 3-stage gzeira shava to prove Yisru means application of malchus. Lamadnu Yisru. We learn the definition of the word Yisru mentioned by us, by the Moitzi Shemra. From where do we learn that? Mi Yisru. From a different Yisru mentioned elsewhere. By the son who strays, by Ben Seiru Moira, where there too it says Yisru. Now, Yisru mi Ben. By the Ben Seiru Moira, the word Yisru is said near the word Ben Seiru Moira, and it says V'Yisru. So now we know that V'Yisru is somewhat synonymous with the word Ben, right? And likewise, the Yisru by us, by the Moitzi, is similar to the yesterday's drasha with the Sha'arecha on the Pesach. Rashi actually said yesterday that it's just an asmachta, it's sort of a hint that the Chachamim based their halacha on. They knew the halacha through, Kabbalah of Torah Shabbal Peh, and they used these methods to sort of prove and to hint, to find a reference to this idea in the Torah itself. So in any case, we go Yisru by us to Yisru by the Ben Seiru Moira. Then, just as by the Ben Seiru Moira, Yisru is synonymous with the word Ben, which is stated nearby. Likewise, Yisru by us is synonymous with Ben. Once we know that Yisru and Ben are sort of related, now we take it a step further. Uben mi Ben. We take the sort of Ben that we have by us, because Yisru and Ben are synonymous, and we go connect to a different word, to Ben which is stated elsewhere, in a context of Malchus. Uben mi Ben, the Ben by us from Ben elsewhere. Where? V'haya im bin hakois harasha, which describes the application of Malchus. Right? This fellow's a Rasha, and the judge will apply Malchus to him. Bottom line is, we go from here to Ben Seiru Moira, back to us, over to V'haya bin hakois harasha, and we know that V'yisru means the application of Malchus. Asks the Gemara, you're punishing this man so severely. Where is his warning? We know that we never punish without a warning. Ashara l'moitzi shemra minolan. Where do we find a warning in the Torah against being moitzi shemra? We have 2 options. Rabbi Lazar Amar, Milo Yiselech Rachel. Don't go spread allegations and stories about people. That's the Azhara against the Moitzi Shemra. He was over on this warning. Rabbi Nassan Aimer, I have another pasuk. Be careful from anything inappropriate. And the Mefarshim explain, davar ra, davar and divar are very closely related. Be careful. Watch from speaking davar ra, from making up stories about somebody else. And Rashi points out that the word v'nishmarta is like hishamer, and we know that hishamer denotes a mitzvah sleisase. Guard yourself against such and such. So Rabbi Nassan learns from v'nishmarta, and Rabbi Lazar from loiselech rachel. Asks the Gemara, Rabbi Lazar my time lo yomar me'ahai. Why didn't Rabbi Lazar choose to learn the azhara from Rabbi Nassan's pasuk? From v'nishmarta mikol davara. Answers the Gemara, Hahu, that pasuk, it's already been used for something else. Who learned as follows. Pasuk says, V'nishmarta mikol davara. Guard yourself from anything bad. Even a deviant thought is meant to be banished from one's mind, from one's heart. Mikan Amar Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Based on this pasuk, taught Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Al Yaharer Adam Bayayim. One should be careful to avoid any inappropriate thoughts during the day. They come, they attack from all sides, as the Gemara Bava Basra says. There are some things the person cannot avoid entirely. One of them is hirhur havera, inappropriate thoughts. So what does the Gemara mean? Al yaharer adam bayayim. Don't willingly contemplate these thoughts. They'll come from all sides, but just shoo them away. For the initial inkling, well, that a person cannot really avoid, and he's not really held accountable for. We're not responsible for the initial notion, but to dwell on it, that's the issue. Banish it. Override those thoughts. Introduce thoughts of purity into your heart and mind. As the Rambam says, thinking words of Torah, fill the heart, fill the mind, and don't allow any silliness to enter. Mikan Amar Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Al Yaharer Adam Bayayim. Why? Because it can bring to unwanted consequences. V'yavar l'dei tumah balayla, can bring to tumah later on. So this pasuk has been used for that, and unavailable to teach us for the Moitzi Shemra. That's why Rabbi Lazar chose the other pasuk. Rabbi Nassan, my time alay Omer Mahai. If so, why didn't Rabbi Nassan use Rabbi Lazar's pasuk? Loiselech rachel ba'amecha. Don't spread allegations and falsehoods about your friend. Hahu, well, that pasuk has been used for something else. Azhara lebezdin. Some of a girsa, Azhara ledayin. It's a warning to the bezdin, to the dayan. Shelo yehei rach lazeh. Don't be soft on this litigant, v'kasha lazeh, on top of the other fellow. You have to treat them even-handedly. So it's being used for that pasuk and unavailable for the Moitzi Shemra. So bottom line is, the Moitzi Shemra is certainly under warning, under caution, whether it's this pasuk or that. And as a result, we punish him. If it turns out that he's just making up the story, Malchus and Mamain. Now, the Moitzi Shemra is only held liable if he instigated the story, if he actually brought the Edom and he manipulated the entire event. But let's say the Edom came on their own. He didn't ask the Edom, he didn't summon them. Rather, they came on their own. They chose to volunteer this information about his wife. Well, we know that she was involved in znus. And it turns out that it's just a farce. Others come and discredit them by saying, what are you talking about? You claim to have witnessed an event at that place, at that time. At that very time, you were with us in a different place. They become Edom Zaymimin. Edom proven to be false. Is the husband responsible for what these Edom try to instigate? No, I didn't ask them to come. I didn't hire them. Right? So Lo Yamar LeEdom Boy Ve'iduni. He didn't ask the Edom to come and tell the Bezdin about his wife's znus. Rather, they chose to do it on their own. And it turns out that they're liars. The husband is totally unresponsible. No malchus applied to him, and no fine applied either. But if it turns out that the Edom are right on, then she gets skila, and the zaymimin as well, the Edom, which turned out to be false Edom. What do you mean? How can both happen at the same time? Either the event happened and she's wrong, or it was just trumped up and the Edom zaymimin are guilty and she's okay. You can't have her and the Edom zaymimin be punished at the same time, which doesn't go. How can you say she and the zaymimin are punished at the same time? It's one or the other. Ella, rather, we insert the word oi, or one or the other. Oihi. If it turns out that the allegation is substantiated, she did znus, then she's punished. Oi zaymimeha. Or it turns out to be false, the zaymimin are punished. Magdimin lebeis haskila. They're taken to the beis haskila. Says the Gemara. Apparently, the husband is not involved here because he didn't summon the Edom. He didn't invite the Edom. He wasn't the party. But if he asks them to come, he invites them. They come be made about his wife. Turns out to be totally false and trumped up. Husband is punished, even though he didn't actually hire the Edom, he just asked them to come. That's enough to make him a party in the equation. La Fuki with Rabbi Yehuda. This is not like Rabbi Yehuda's shita. The Sandya, Rabbi Yehuda Einay Chayiv. Husband is not responsible Yisker Edom, until he actually goes a step further and he hires the Edom. But if they're just coming to do him a favor, he's not so intricately involved, and therefore the process of knas and all that doesn't apply to the husband, even if it turns out that the whole thing was just a false allegation. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. How does Rabbi Yehuda know that hiring the Edom is a precondition? Amar Ravo Asya Sima. We make Gzera Shava using the word Sima from a word Sima elsewhere. Over here we have the pasuk V'samla alilis dvarim. He presented this libel. Uksiv Hasam. We have a pasuk by ribus, by taking interest. Lo says Siman olav neshech. Don't apply neshech. Don't apply interest to a loan. Ma'alahalan mum. Just as the word sisimun, which is from the lashon sima, placement, application, is in the context of money. Right? Don't apply interest to a loan. Afkan mum. Likewise over here, v'samla, which is a similar word, is a reference to a process which was instigated by money, i.e. hiring of these false Edom. Interesting that the Tzeitzach Choshen points out, we have a raya from this Gemara, that even if one hires an aid to testify for him, an honest aid, nothing false about it, but you hire an aid to work for you, Minat Torah is a kosher aid. You see, there's a Mishnah which says that if a person takes money for, witness services, the aidus is worthless. So the Tzeitzach Choshen says apparently it's only a psul the Rabbanon. He's disqualified in the Rabbanon because min ha-Torah he's still qualified, as we see in our Gemara. Look, this husband is hiring the Edom, and we reckon with the aidus that they're saying. Apparently, min ha-Torah it's a proper aidus. Omar of Nachman bar Yitzchak. V'chein Tani, Rav Yosef Tzidoni, that was his name. Bei Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he presented this drasha at the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, or a drasha that was learned in the Beis Medrash. So he was relating that drasha, Asya Sima, exactly as we said before. We learned this halacha. Which halacha? That you have to actually hire the Edom to be considered an involved party. We learn it from the Gzera Shava, Sima over here, from Sima of the ribis, just as over there. It's a monetary transaction. Here as well, there needs to be some monetary element involved as well. Boy Rabbi Yirmiyah. Here comes the classic Rabbi Yirmiyah's questions. Intricate questions. What about this? What about that? Sachron bekarka mau. Rabbi Yirmiyah was known to ask these, unusual types of circumstances. Let's say you hire them with karka instead of paying them with money. You hire them for the job using karka, using land. Mahu, what will the halacha be in this case? On the one hand, you hire them. On the other hand, aren't we meant to compare this to ribbis? And by ribbis, it's only ribbis if it's actually money. Karka doesn't. Ribbis doesn't apply to the karka situation. So, how close to ribbis does it have to be? Actual money, or even karka, which is, shaveh kesef. That's enough. Another question. Let's say you hire them with something worth less than a shaveh pruta, less than the minimum, shear of value, which is typically the minimum threshold to be considered mammon throughout the rest of the Torah. So on the one hand, he hires them. Even less than a pruta has some value. You can't steal. You cannot steal less than a shaveh pruta. But on the other hand, it's shaveh pruta is the minimum needed typically to affect a legal transaction. So what would the halacha be in this case? Another question. Shneyam bepruta mau. The husband approaches both Edom and offers them one pruta for both. Split the pruta. On the one hand, he's spending a pruta, which is mammon, but on their side, on the receiving end, each person is not getting a pruta. Does that qualify? Mahu. Okay, we leave it as a hanging question. Boy Ravashi, here come another two shaylas. Hoiti shemra al nusuna rishayim mau. So this fellow married her once, divorced, married her again. Second time around, he's now complaining about the first marriage. Don't you remember you came into the first marriage in non basula? He's being Moitzi Shemra, he's alligating, he's making up stories, and it turns out that he's a Moitzi Shemra. Do we apply the process in this case or not? Al Nesui Achiv Mau. Reuven had married this Isha, passed away without children, and his brother Shimon stepped in and did Yibum. He's the Yavam. And he's complaining that you misled my brother way back when you entered his marriage, Einan Basula. Do we apply Moitzi Shemra in this case? Response to the Gemara. Peshoit mi echad. I can clarify, I can conclude on at least one, the second of the two questions. This is the father complaining, look, Rabbi Sai, I gave over my daughter to this man. He's making up stories. He's spreading falsehoods about my daughter. Why does the pasuk say Leish hazeh, this man, lezeh? Because he's pointing to the man that he gave his daughter over to, v'lo liyavam. But it doesn't refer to the yavam who he didn't really hand his daughter over to. That came min hashamayim, right? He married his daughter to Reuven, and then Reuven passed away. She automatically reverted to Shimon. So if Shimon is the one that's making the trouble, there's no Moitzi Shemra. So we have clarity on that question. Now, yesterday we had a machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and the Rabbanon. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Hoitzos Shemra only applies if this husband actually lived with his new wife as married, and then he started making up stories. And then we apply the process of Moitzi Shemra. If it turns out that he's just making it up, he's punished. Whereas according to the Rabbanon, we don't need this condition of Baal. Right after the chuppah decides to make up stories, the process is applied even in that case. So we made mention of this machlekes. Now we're going to go into it. My Rabbanon or my Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Where do we find these two shittas? The Sanya we learned in the Brayso. How does Hoitzos Shemra play out? Bola Bezdin, husband arrives at Bezdin v'Amar, and he declares, Pliny, Mr. Father of my wife, You know, I haven't discovered besulim by your daughter. Apparently, she was involved with another man prior to marrying me. Says the Brisa, what happens? If, in fact, Edim come forward to confirm that she committed znus during the engagement period, yesh lo ksuba mana, she gets a partial ksuba, a mana, like a woman who was a non-besul. Asks the Gemara, how can that be? There are Edim that she committed znus, she gets a ksuba. Bas kilahi, she's deserving of skila. What do you mean? No, we meant like this. Yes, if Edim confirmed the story, we apply skila. But zinsa meikara, it turns out that she was involved in znus before she got engaged to him. In that case, she was not yet an eshes ish. She's not deserving of skila, and in fact, yesh lo ksuba mana, she gets a half ksuba, 100 zuz. So although this fellow expected a besula and he was sort of misled, but we're going with the shita that even if he thought you expected a besula and he was surprised with a non-besula, she's still deserving of a ksuba, although not a full ksuba, 200 for the besula, but at least 100 like a non-besula. And the Brisa continues, Nimtza sheshemra einoi shemra. It turns out that his entire story is totally false. He's making it up. Who like it? V'noisen me'asela. He gets malchus and pays the fine. Bein baal or bein loy baal. Whether he actually interacted with her as married or even with not. That's not a precondition to set the Motzei Shemra process in motion. That is Shitas Rabbanon, who do not require a Maisa. Rabbi Yehuda ben Yaakov Omer, no, loy nemru dvarim halalu. This entire process is only applicable if Elok Shebal, his husband was boyal the isha, and then he decides to claim that she's a non-besul. Now we're going to go through several psukim and see how it fits with either shita. B'Yishleim a little bit ben Yaakov. I understand that according to this shita, Hainu the pasuk says, "Uba elel, uvekrev elel." I was near her, I spent with her physically. So now he's claiming that he discovered her to be non-besula due to his interaction with her. Elul Rabbana, but according to the Rabbana, there was no baal. So what does the pasuk mean? My uba elel, v'ekrev elel. What does that mean? Answer: Uba elel balilos. I presented her with a libel, v'ekrev elel b'dvarim, and I challenged her with allegations. Bishleim a little bit Yaakov. According to that sheet, it works. The pasuk which says, "Look, I didn't discover besulim by your daughter because he interacted with her. He attempted to find the besulim and he didn't find it." What does that mean? I didn't find besulim. He hasn't even interacted with her. How would he know? Answer is, I haven't found Edim which will be machshir your daughter, who will consider your daughter as a besula. So kishrei is a lashon of kasher, machshir. So we have Edim who claim that she did znus, and I haven't found other Edim that are willing to contradict those first Edim and restore her besula status. That's all it means. According to him, the pasuk says, husband, the father responds to husband's allegations by producing the besulam of his daughter. So he brings out the cloth and you see dam. Apparently there was besulam during your interaction. What are you talking about? El Rabbanon, according to Rabbanon, there was never interaction. My ve'ela besuli biti. Why is he talking in this manner? Eila besuli biti. That's referring to some sort of physical phenomenon which never happened. Answer is ve'ela kishrei besuli biti. You had brought Edim who alleged that she was a non-besula. Here, I have two Edim that are being machshir my daughter and restoring her besulim. Bishloim a little blessed when Yaakov coined him it. We understand the pasuk hainadosiv uparso asimla. So they'll spread out the cloth, a sheet, for all to see, because there was interaction between the husband and the wife, and everybody will see that there is a dam on the sheet. She indeed was a besula during that experience. Elul Rabbanon, who hold that there was no interaction at all between this husband and wife. Mayu Parsa similar. What does it mean they spread the sheet? What's the purpose of spreading sheets? Amar Vo Pirsu Masha Samla. They're going to verify the allegations that this fellow put forth and challenged her with. Kedesanya. Upirsu Asimla. What does it mean? Pirsu Asimla? Malamit Sheboyin Edim Shalzeh, Ve'edim Shalzeh. The pair of Edim who allege that she's a non-basula, meaning the husband's Edim, Ve'edim Shalzeh, and the other pair of Edim, brought by the father to support her status. They come to Bezdin, and Bezdin investigates the matter thoroughly. And they investigate, they cross-examine the Edim, Kesuma Chadasha, like a brand new garment without any creases. They clarify and they conclude the truth. No, he says Parsas Hasimla means literally they spread the sheet out and they take a look and see whether there was dam during the interaction between the husband and the wife. Simla mamish, an actual simla. Shalach Rabbi Yitzchak bar Rabbi Yaakov bar Giyuri, in the name of whom Mishmeid Rabbi Yehuda, she sent the following halach. Av agav shalom etzinu b'chol haTorah kula. If you take a look throughout the entire Torah, we never find any distinction. Shechilik hakosav bein bia kedarka lebia shloi kedarka. We never find that the Torah makes any differentiation between a regular interaction with a woman or a irregular interaction from the back. Lamakas la'onchin, pertaining to various punishments. So interaction with an erva, whether this way or that, brings about the same exact results, except for one example. Aval Motzei Shemra, but in terms of this Motzei Shemra fellow, chilek, we do find a difference between this and that. How? Einay chayiv. The only time we apply these penalties to the troublemaker husband, ad sheyivo shloi kedarka, it only works if he interacted with her the irregular way, meaning even that way, it would be enough. However, in terms of his allegations, in terms of the story that he's presenting, and she was involved with somebody before me, he must be purporting that she was involved kedarka. The fact is, he's claiming that she's not a basula, which is only kedarka. So that's what we need. Asks the Gemara, come on, this statement, this halacha, whose shita are we following? We had Rabbanon, we had Rabbi Yehuda Yaakov. Whose shita are we going with? Ikar Rabbanon, is it the Rabbanon? Afagav the Leibal. According to him, you don't need his interaction with her to activate the Motzei Shemra process. You don't even need that at all. Ikar Rabbi Yehuda Yaakov. On the other hand, Rabbi Yehuda Yaakov would neither work. You see, according to Rabbi Yehuda Yaakov, he's taking the psukim very literally. This new husband interacted with his wife the regular way, and he claims, look, I discovered no basulim. It must have happened regularly, because otherwise how could he know? Let's see Rashi on top. Since according to this shita, the psukim in the Torah are taken literally. And if that's the case, how could he claim, I didn't find basulim? Elim kain amar baltia kedarka. The only way is if he claims, I was involved with her the regular way, and I found her to be a non-basula. Ida says the Gemara kedarka binan. He was involved kedarka, and he's claiming that the other fellow before him was also kedarka. That's the only way it works. Ella, rather, we have to revise the halacha. Shalach Rav Kahana Mishvei Rav Yechanan Einei Chayiv. In fact, there's no chiyav here. Ad sheyival kedarka. He interacted with her currently kedarka. V'yotishem Rabbi kedarka, and he's claiming that she was involved with another man kedarka as well. And that explains the non-basul. So, bottom line is, a fellow makes up a story about his wife as though she had been involved with somebody else beforehand. If it turns out that he is right, she gets skila. Otherwise, he's punished severely. But the Gemara tells us that the Edom that he's bringing to substantiate his story had to have been summoned by him. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, hired by him. We had a couple of shilas how to do that, whether karka works, whether pachas p'shava pruta works, etc. It certainly doesn't work if he's referring to his brother's marriage. Regarding his own first marriage, we're not sure. In which way is he penalized? Malkus and Mea Kesef. Why? Where's the warning? We have an option of 2 psukim. Yisru leiselech rachel ba'amecha, or v'nishmarta mikol davara. According to Rabbi Yaakov, it only works if he interacted with her as well, and as a result of that interaction, he's claiming her to be non-besul, according to Rabbanan, even without that. Continues the Mishnah. Ha'av, a father of a young girl, a ktana, or even a nara, zakai babite, the Torah, handed him the privileges of partaking in his daughter's monetary income. Ha'av zakai babite, he has a schus to accept the following income due to his daughter. B'kiddushah. So he can go ahead and be mekadosh, or he can accept the money which a husband will give to be mekadosh to engage his daughter. So b'kiddushah can work in all different ways. B'kesef, whether it's accepting money on her behalf, and he keeps that money, it's his. Bishtar, whether it's accepting a document in which it says, I am being mekadosh your daughter. Ubaviyah, likewise, he can hand his daughter over to this man to engage her as married, which makes a kiddush. What else does the father get? Zaka b'mitzi asa. Anything she finds goes to him. Umasi yadeh, her earnings. Uvafaras nidarea, he can nullify her vows. Umakabel gita. Likewise, he can choose to have her divorced. Again, we're speaking about a ketana or a nara. So you can go ahead and accept a get on her behalf. But ve'ena ichel peres bechaya. Suppose she inherited a field from her mother's side, so it belongs to her. He cannot consume the produce off that field bechaya during her lifetime. But nisis, once she marries, yaser olav abal, her husband has an advantage over her father. In which way? She'eichel peres bechaya, he can partake in the produce coming off her field. V'chayev b'nesel. And likewise, he must feed her. Ubeperkaina, he must redeem her if she is captured. Ukvarasa, he must bury her. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer, afilu anish b'Yisrael, even the poorest person amongst Klal Yisrael, la yivches mishnei chalilin u'mukainenes, comes to his wife funeral, he should offer no less than 2 flute players and at least 1 woman who chants. So the Mishnah begins with the halacha that a father is entitled to his daughter's kiddushin money. Because of Minolan, how do we know that the money received on behalf of his daughter's kiddushin go to him? How do we know that he's the address? Amar Vida Amar Kro, the pasuk says, "V'yatza chinim ein kesef." This is by the girl who was sold as an amma ha'ivriya, a Jewish maidservant. Come the time of Nara, she becomes an adult. She leaves the master's domain. V'yatza chinim, she leaves for free. Ein kasef, no need to pay any money. Once the pasuk says she leaves free of charge, why do you need to add ein kasef? It's redundant. It's a drush to teach you ein kesef l'adin zeh. There's no money during this transaction. She leaves him without paying. But there's another instance where she is leaving somebody. She's leaving somebody's domain, her father's domain, i.e. getting engaged, in which case there is money coming to the father. Why? Because the money received for that kiddushin is directed to her father. V'yesh kesef l'odein achar. Another master out there, in a similar circumstance, gets money upon her leaving his jurisdiction. Umana, who's that? Lucky man, Aviyah, her father. So we learn that when she leaves her father's domain, i.e., somebody marries her, father gets the mama and kiddush. How do you know that to be true? Perhaps you're right. There is money involved when she leaves her father's domain. She gets engaged via money. Today we use a ring, but same idea. Money or shaveh kesef. But who's to say that it goes to the father? There is money involved, but maybe it goes to her. Answers the Gemara. Well, this we know for a fact. That the father is sort of the boss. He accepts the kedushin. He chooses to marry her off. The pasuk says, I handed my daughter to this man. He's in charge of marrying her off. Right? It's all a matter of his choices. He chooses her husband. Ihi shakal kaspa. Does it make sense that she'll get the money? It's his business. He marries her off. Of course he gets the money. And that answers your question. Oh, perhaps that pasuk is speaking about iktana, below bas mitzvah. The less layad, because she doesn't have the ability to marry herself off. A katan or a ktana cannot really affect transactions, right? So father's in charge, and father gets the payment. Aval nara, the is layad, but once she turns a nara, she's already an adult. She can affect legal transactions. I tekadish nafsha, vi tishkal kaspa. Perhaps at that state, she can choose to be mekadosh herself and accept the money. Who's to say it goes to the father? Amar Krav, we have another pasuk to prove that. Binorea beisavia. During the period of Na'arus, when she's a Nara, beisavia, it's to the father. We learn from here, Kol Shvach Nu'urim Lavia. Any financial benefits, any earnings, any income attributed to this Nara belongs to the father, including the Kesef Kiddush. Ve'ela, if that's the case, then we have a question. How do we know that a daughter's earnings go to her father? He sells his daughter as a maidservant, and we learn a drasha as follows. We compare a daughter to a maidservant. Just as a maidservant, her earnings go to her master. That's pretty straightforward. Likewise, a daughter's earnings go to her father. Why do we need a pasuk for that? Lamali. Haven't you brought me another pasuk to teach us the same exact concept? Neurea beisavia. Any shavach neurim, any earnings, any potential monetary gains goes to the father. Ella. So the answer must be that you cannot learn financial earnings from that pasuk. Ella ba'afaras nedarim u'dichsiv. The pasuk of Binureh Beisavia is referring to a very specific halacha, that a father has the ability to control his daughter's neder. And it's unrelated to financial matters. And therefore you cannot use that pasuk to teach us that Kiddushin money goes to the father. Okay, so maybe we can learn from Afaras Nadarim to Kesef Kiddushin. You cannot do that. You cannot learn financial matters, such as Mom and Kiddushin, from Afaras Nadarim, which is Isser. A totally different concept. So maybe we can learn from a different source. We've already learned many times throughout this parak, the previous parak, that knas monies goes to the father. He pays a knas to the father. So perhaps just as that money goes to the father, Mom and Kedushin as well. That's a problem. You cannot derive ordinary payments, money which is due to somebody like Kesef Kedushin. You can't learn that from knas, which is a penalty, which works according to totally different guidelines. I have another option. By the Oynes Mafata, we know there are many types of payments involved. There's the knas, there's boishes, shame and embarrassment, there's pagam, damages. Those monies, boishes and pagam, which are mammon, money which is due to him, it's not a knas, it's due. It goes to the father. And perhaps Kesef Kedushin as well. Answers the Gemara, no. Shani boishes pagam da'avia nami shayach be. You know why a father is deserving of the boishes pagam payments? Because he's an involved party. The Gemara explained this a couple of days ago, right? Because if he wishes, he can hand his daughter over to a menuvel, a lowly fellow, and earn a lot of money upon marrying her off to this fellow. So in a way, he has a financial interest. He's losing that potential income when this fellow gets involved with her forcefully or coerced. He's losing that money because she's now downgraded and unsuitable for other people. So bottom line is, he's a party. He's an interested party. So it makes sense that he should get the Boishes Pagam, which he loses because of this fellow's interaction with his daughter. Because he's also an involved party. That explains that halacha. But Kesef Kedushin, who's to say that he has a right to collect that money? Ella, says the Gemara, let's go back to the earlier suggestion. Pasuk said, she leaves the master as soon as she reaches adulthood. She leaves chinam, free of charge, ain't kasef, without payment. Why the redundancy? She leaves him without payment. But elsewhere you leave somebody with payment, i.e., leaving your father's domain through engagement affects payment to the father. The question was, maybe it affects payment. It was to say to the father, Elo mistavra dechimemait rachmana. It's logical that when the Torah is memait, when the Torah is alluding to a different type of leaving, right, which has money, dechimemait rachmana, when the pasuk is memait, alluding to a different case. Yitzia the kavosah memait. The other case is apparently similar, very similar in nature. It almost mirrors and replicates the Yitzia of the Amma Ha'ivriya from her master. And Rashi explains like this. She leaves the master without payment. Payment to whom? Who would she have to pay, theoretically? The master. Perhaps she has to, give him some sort of payment to allow her to leave, right? No, Yatzah free of charge, because she's an adult. She's shown the door, right? Then the pasuk says, "Ein kasef," without payment. Why the redundancy? Over here, there's no payment to the master, but elsewhere, when you leave somebody else, i.e., a father, through engagement, there is payment to him. The cases have to correspond. The details have to jive, have to match. Over here, there's no payment to master. By a different type of master, leaving a father's jurisdiction through getting engaged, there is money to master. There you go. So the father gets the mama kedusha. Asks the Gemara, but in any case, the two cases aren't really 100% similar. You can't compare leaving over here, leaving her master, to leaving her father. Why? By the master, her leaving is absolute. She's totally disengaged from him. She's totally leaving his domain. As opposed to Yitzia De'ab, when she leaves her father's domain by way of getting engaged to a fellow, it's not a complete disengagement. Akati, it's still mechasra, missing. Mesir l'chuppah. She hasn't been given over l'chuppah. She's still someone in his rishus. Rashi says a father is still yerish his daughter in that state. He still gets her earnings. So in any case, the cases aren't really comparable. Yes, they are. Why? Because to a certain extent, she is leaving her father's rishus completely. Mafaris nedarim miha, when it comes to nullifying her nedarim, nafkula mershusei, at least in that. For that aspect, she leaves his rishus completely. Why? Because up until now, father exercised complete and comprehensive control over his daughter's nedarim. Once she gets engaged, that is no longer. He has to share that right, that power with the husband. The snan, nara murasa, a nara who's engaged, avia ubala. It's not no longer her father alone. It's her father and her husband who are mefir and lo nedareh, who tend to her nedarim. So you see that her father lost that total control. So in that sense, she left completely. He was totally in control and is no longer in control. Totally. So it is a yitzia which is similar to the yitzia of the Amma Ivriya from the master, and therefore the two cases are comparable. So bottom line is, this is going to be the source. How do we know that a father will accept the kesef kedushin when he has his daughter engaged? How do we know he's deserving of that money? From this pasuk, you leave your master for free, but not your father. So a father can accept the kedushin on behalf of his daughter, and the shtar, and orchestrate the bia as well. Shtar or bia. Minolan, how do we know those two things? Kesef we know. What about shtar or bia? Amakra, v'hoisel ish acher. See, the pasuk speaks about her marrying somebody, right? Hoisa is the lashon of marriage, and we know that. The Gemara Kedushin already teaches us that there are 3 different ways of engaging and marrying: kesef, shtar, and bia. That's a known fact. So now the pasuk refers to getting married by using the word v'hoisa. So it's one word referring to 3 different possible ways of getting married. Iskush havais la'adadi. That in effect is sort of bundling together all different forms of marriage. Kesef with shtar and bia. And once we know a father is entitled to his daughter's money, the kesef kedushin is his. Likewise, when it comes to other methods of marrying off shtar and bia, he's also the orchestrator as well. What else does the father get? Zakai b'metziasa. He's entitled to his daughter's findings. Why? Mishum eva. To avoid any animosity. Says Rashi on top. Mishum eva. To kivin the einachayev bimzan yiseh. Since technically a father does not have to feed his daughter, it's very nice and generous, but he doesn't have to do it. And therefore the Chachamim looked out, for her benefit. They require her to hand over any findings to the father to keep the peace and harmony in their home. She'll walk away with her mitzvah and ignore her father. What do you mean? I'm feeding you, providing for you. You can't just give me what you found. And he's not going to want to feed her anymore. Therefore, the Chachamim gave him that privilege as well. Okay, so what did we learn today? We spoke about a mitzvah shemra. There's an azhara, v'nishmartem kol davara, or le'selech rachel ba'amecha. He asked Adam to come help him out, or he hired them, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Turns out the whole thing was made up. He gets malchus, me'o kesef, according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Yaakov, provided that he was baal the isha. We learned that a father can orchestrate his daughter, a nara or a ktana, her kiddushin, the kesef, the shtar, and the bia, and we learned from a pasuk that he's actually entitled to receive the kesef kiddushin. All the best and hatzlacha rabbah.